Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a comic book review of King Spawn, issue number 2, brought to you by Rated Comics. Now let's get to it. This issue opens up with a very scary looking man giving us a sermon. There is a cultish group preparing to enact terrible atrocities on the world, so it seems, and Spawn's time is running out to stop them. And that person is Billy Kincaid, now known as Kincaid. He's talking about the new leader seeing the righteousness of our goal, and he will commune with you in a physical and spiritual way. This new leader will also be like us, willing to make a sacrifice of young souls that so badly want to be servants in the new order. Why do I have a feeling that this will play a part later? Kincaid goes into a backstory how Spawn embarrassed him, serving him up like a stuck pig, imprisoning his soul in deep darkness. But that changed him and transformed him into the master they now follow. It also gave him a doorway into the future, and there goes the cult cheering him on. We see Al Simmons, aka Spawn, pondering and thought from the events of King Spawn, issue number 1. You can check out that review if you haven't. 6 kids and Metatron all dead just to get to me out in the open. That's what Spawn says. His frustration is clearly visible as Jessica, she Spawn, and Mark look at him as he grows more frustrated. Jessica goes to talk to Al, and he doesn't see how she can be useful and has an outburst. He doesn't like outbursts, but given his frustration and dumb questions, as he calls it, are just amplified in this specific scenario. Al walks away and Mark doesn't do a damn thing about it. Jessica calls him out on it. The death of those kids weigh heavy on everyone, issue number 1. But all they can do now is try to prevent another tragedy from happening. Jessica goes outside to see if she can offer some advice to him. Al is not looking for any at this time, but she's going to give him some anyway. She tells him, "You're not in this solo, so stop acting like you are. Give us a chance." She asks Spawn about the sigil. It's the symbol that tells the prophecy of what the person behind the killings is planning, issue number 1 callback. Jessica asks Spawn to give it to Mark, since he's smarter than the both of them and he can run it through his computer matrix and they can go about handling business. Al refuses and turns into Spawn. She calls bulljive on Spawn, telling him that he needs the both of them and to get over himself. Otherwise, why is he keeping them around? She gives him a compelling, no-nonsense speech about bringing closure. He agonizes this for a moment and agrees to let her help him. Now here is a sweet old granny in a sweet old neighborhood. She's the kind of granny that tries so hard to please others while taking on more responsibilities than her age needs to. Upstairs, there's some boom boom going on. In the name of the prophet Kincaid, these two are having a pre-cult ambush and sex before the scheme of the day the next day. The prophet instructs Thomas, the dude, to wear the helmet during their first time. Not that helmet, the one on his head. Not that head, the other head. Granny intrudes and he tells her they were finishing Bible studies, the book of Psalms, and they're almost done. Obviously sweating, it's more like they were getting some. Okay, I'm not sure if I'll keep that joke in there. Going on with the review, in DC we see Spawn looking patriotic. I'm not sure this symbolizes something, I believe it does. He narrates that the book of Psalms has more prophecies than any other in the Bible. All talk about making a new world. Leaving the past behind and crowning a new king, Spawn concludes that if there is a roadmap, DC might be the beginning of their slaughter, or a very crude way to draw them out in the open. Either way, they're living clues to draw Spawn out in the open. Spawn speaks to Mark over the intercom, questioning that it's been 2 hours and is Mark sure about this stakeout. Turns out he's 100% positive after the sigil had been encrypted, this location is where they're at now. Since tomorrow is a more important date, being that it's a 2-day event, Spawn didn't want to take any chances and showed a day earlier. Spawn tells Mark to get himself and Jessica somewhere safe, and he tells Mark that he doesn't need their help tomorrow. His reason for this is he believes he needs someone that he can trust more than them. Spawn is really going through some things right now, and he feels he can trust Terry, but deep down, he feels Terry won't want anything to do with Al. Despite that info, they have a meeting anyway. Talk about trust issues despite Mark helping Spawn out with the sigil. Just a short summary with Terry and Al for those who may not know. Al and Terry were good friends in the military, but when Al died and married his wife Wanda and gave her a child, things were never the same. Terry gives Spawn a partial list that his friend from the CIA gave to him. It contains what the government knows about the shadow players. In other words, the shadow players have infiltrated a government agency. He warns Terry to be very, very careful. The rest of this dialogue between the two is very impactful and powerful. They both have something to lose from it, and this shows it's in their best interest to work with one another. despite their history. The next day, Al and Terry are at the steps of the Capitol building. He is not sure what he is supposed to look for aside from an intruder who is young and armored, which is going to be tough to spot in the crowd full of young individuals. The two kids from the grandmas get ready to do the act. Not that act, the other act. Terry notices them and calls to Spawn. They call for everyone's attention and they tell the crowd that their deaths will be for the glory of the cause, for the future and the future king to come. That is an awesome moment where Spawn uses his cape to block the bullets from the crowd. As always, I got to leave a little meat on the bone for you guys if you wish to purchase this comic. Link in description, by the way. I like how they showed Spawn's inability to work with others, which helps show he's got some growing to do, that he can't be a loner hero. Much of this book deals with Spawn's frustration with not being able to solve the mystery of who is pulling the strings and maybe rushing in too quickly. She, Spawn, and Mark are clearly on his side, but if he had it his way, he'd do this alone, quickly and quietly. But he does need them both, in my opinion. Meanwhile, the enemy gets a bit more fleshing out, specifically the two of the faithful that does the main villain's bidding. This all leads to an attack on the Capitol building. It's quite clear that the build-up to this attack is meant to drudge up the fear and chaos we all felt on the first issue of this book, but it doesn't feel cheap. It's more like a means to show how haunting this villain is. In the end, Spawn is made a sucker, and it'll be interesting to see how Spawn grows from it. He did the unthinkable and fulfilled Kincaid's prophet's prophecy. Hint, Kincaid called it out in the beginning of the issue. But with that being said, King Spawn issue number 2. What you guys think of the comic? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you want to get your copy, link in description. If you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Which reminds me, the next video is going to be the death of Doctor Strange, and we are going to announce the winners of the comic book giveaway for that video. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing. This book is awesome, definitely worth the get. Not as much of a hit you in the face as the first issue, but nonetheless, great storytelling in my opinion. Thanks for watching. Until next time.